Now, I know a lot of you out there are doing Tyler from 10 Thumbs Pro's fabulous blues challenge at the moment. It's lots of fun, and I highly encourage you to go and do it if you haven't already checked it out. However, for those of us who are baritone players, there's that little bit of extra challenge because the tabs and the staves, the music is written for tenor or standard tuning. So, how do we best tackle this music? If you're playing on your own, and the simplest way to approach it is to read the tab, play the fingering as written, and only look at the stave or the musical notes to give you the timing. Now, if you want to play it in the same key as everyone else, then you basically have two choices. You can either put a capo or a capo on your uke at fret 5, and that will bring you up to the tuning of a standard tuning ukulele, or you can transpose as you go. To transpose as you go, it's a great skill to have, but it's not necessarily something that everybody can do off the bat. So today in this video, we're just going to look at how you can take music for a standard tuned ukulele and convert it to baritone based on the tabs. We're not going to be doing any transposition at all. So I've got in front of me D3 because it has a bit of finger picking, a bit of chords, so I figured this was a really good place to start. So first of all, I'm here on my high D baritone, so it's a re-entrant tuning, and I'm going to play D3 for you so you get a sense of how it is written with a re-entrant or a high note on the 4th string. So it goes like this. Great. It's a great little blues bit actually. So now I'm going to switch over to my low D standard tuning baritone, and you'll really start to hear the difference having a low D or a low 4th string really makes. So here I am on my low D baritone. Now, those of you who are familiar with my videos will know that I normally play my beautiful Ohana low D baritone, but for this video I really wanted very much to do like for like. So my first instrument with the high D is a Macala, and I'm now playing my low D Macala. So now I'll play D3 and you'll hear the difference. So, the low D really does make a difference. I personally really like the low G when I'm playing blues, but you might prefer the high D sound. But you've got a low D baritone, so you can either rush out and buy new strings, or we can look at ways of substituting the higher octave D for a low D. So, the first thing I do whenever I'm taking standard tuning baritone, I beg your pardon, the first thing I do when I'm taking standard tuning uke music, so generally tuned for tenor, and I want to play it for baritone, the first thing I do is I look at the chords. Now, some people are happy transposing chords on the fly, and yes, I can certainly do that. But I don't want to be subconsciously reinforcing the wrong chord names while I'm looking at the music. So what I'll do is I'll go, right, so on a tenor, this is in G, but on a baritone it'll be on D. So I will go through on my printout or even on my digital copy using a graphics program and just alter all the chord names. So for example, it might say G7 in brackets D7 because I'm playing a D7 when I'm on a baritone. So that's my first step, and that generally also gives me a feel for the key that it's in. The next thing I do is I look at the tab and I hone in onto string 4 because this is the string that's going to make the most difference if you have a low D baritone. So, okay, first couple of bars. Now, I don't mind that, and it's certainly not difficult to play. But if I wanted the sound of high D, then I have to substitute the D note I'm playing on my 4th string and find it somewhere else. So I go to my D7 chord. Where am I going to find a D? Okay, well there's a D there. There's a D there. That's not very practical. It's too high up. There's a D. And then once I hit my E string, whatever D I find is going to be too high in pitch. So this is going to be the one I might try and use. And I haven't tried this before. This is no rehearsing. So I'm going to play my D7. So I might go, peering at the music. So what I'm doing is I'm substituting my D here for my D here. So rather than playing, I'm playing. So you can see my little finger is adding that D. It's a little trickier, but it's certainly doable. So to play the whole thing with that D, excuse me for any mistakes, because as I said, this is completely off the bat, no rehearsing. This is where the high D really comes into its own. It's a very, very different sound. Now, it's complete personal preference. You might say, yep, love the high D, little bit of extra work, I'm so going to go with that. Or you might go, I prefer the sound of the low D, or you know what, it's just all too hard. I'm still learning all this blues stuff. I'm going to stick with what's written, which is fine. But you could also do a combination. So if I'm playing the last line of day 3, that would give me I'm playing the low D everywhere else except in the turnaround. But again, I'm only looking at the stave, the music in the tab, so I can go right, the first bar of the last line, 4 beats to a bar, I can see that. The second bar, 4 beats to a bar, I can see that. The second last bar is not 1, 2, 3, 4. It's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2 and 3, 4. So it's just using the stave as timing. So I hope that's made sense. If it hasn't, please ask questions. Please leave me a comment. It's really important that you get this right if you're wanting to get your head around the music and the staves for standard tuning music to play on baritone. Now, of course, if you don't care about the music, if you don't care about the staves, you can just block out the music altogether and just read the tabs. And that works too. But having a little bit of music theory is really helpful when you've got to start to make these sort of choices. I don't want to play my low G, but I know it's a D, so I've got to find a D up here. Now, you can just do that by ear. There's my octave. But knowing that you're looking for an octave, and certainly knowing where the notes are on your fretboard, is also a huge, huge advantage. So there you go. First video looking at Tyler's Day 3 from the Blues Challenge for baritone players. Talk to you soon.